Welcome back. We're unpacking the 2025 Liberal Leadership Contest, and joining me to have that discussion is Andrew Perez and Kate Harrison. Kate, just before we cut to commercial break, we were discussing the benefits of a leadership contest and how it can invigorate the grassroots. You made a great point. This is a very short contest, and so what are some of the negatives of having such a short time frame in which to kind of go out and rally the troops at the grassroots?
Drawback is that you are virtually limiting the candidate pool of people that can come in, really start to shake things up, frankly, raise the funds that are needed. The buy in for this contest is $350,000. We do have donation limits in Canada. Each person can only give about $1,500 or $1,600 per person. That is a significant financial barrier for many accomplished politicians, let alone anybody that could look to come to the race without establishment support from the outside. So I think that the truncated race, like what we are seeing, has really created a dynamic where unless you are an established, moneyed candidate in this race, like a Mark Carney, like Chrystia Freeland, your chances of coming in and being successful and having an impact are dramatically reduced by virtue of the rules that have been set.
Okay, well, to those rules of the candidates, the six have made it past. And correct me if I'm wrong, either of you, but Andrew, we'll pick up with you in a moment. And obviously, we have Ruby Dalla, Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, Karina Gould, Jamie Batiste, and Frank Baylis. Is that everybody? Did I get everybody, Andrew?
Yeah, and I believe Jamie Batiste has actually dropped out and endorsed Mr. Carney.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to just a personal note. I'm glad to hear that because I still have that visual in my mind of him wearing a hammer and sickle shirt. And as a daughter of a father who escaped communism, that is not good. So I'm glad to hear that. That's my personal opinion. Okay, so now we're down to five. Okay, good to note. So why don't we start going through the candidates, and we'll let each of you kind of chime in there. So Andrew, why don't we start with who seems to be perceived as the front runner, Mark Carney. Tell us about Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Carney came out of the gate very quickly. He has about 60 caucus endorsements now, about 17 cabinet ministers, the who's who of the Trudeau cabinet, from both the more business wing and the more social justice wing of the party are lining up behind Mr. Carney. To Kate's point, I think she nailed it. This leadership race, the truncated nature of this race really does give an advantage to established candidates who have the money and have the organization. And that's precisely what we're seeing with Mr. Carney. I would say that he's clearly the early front runner. This is his race to lose, particularly organizationally. Caucus endorsements aren't always all that instructive in terms of volume when it comes to a leadership race. In this case, if you look at the ministers and the MPs that are endorsing Carney, many of them, if not most, are very established from an organizational point of view. These are key organizers within the federal Liberal Party, whether they're household names or not. So some big names from Quebec, like Mélanie Joly and Stephen Guilbeault, these are household names in Quebec that will move votes for Mr. Carney.
But thinking ahead, and Kate, I want you to chime in here, with those kind of endorsements, seeing who in the caucus is supporting, is lining up behind which candidate. Well, of course, this is just like an internal party vote. You have to be a party member. Broader, and thinking ahead, because we're hoping you're entering a race hoping to win the general after. Would that taint someone like a Mark Carney, that it's more of a business as usual a la Trudeau going forward?
Is a difficult balance for Mark Carney to walk. On the one hand, he is claiming to be an outsider to this government, right? He has not been a part of cabinet. He's been very clear that he wants to be perceived as somebody who hasn't been integral to the decision making that's gone on. At the same time, he has something like 4 dozen caucus endorsements, including from high profile Trudeau cabinet ministers. So difficult to claim outsider status while also reaping the benefits that come with some of those endorsements, primarily in an organizational capacity. The other part of this, Tanya, because the race is so short, in a normal party leadership contest, there would be time to talk about the policies that you would bring forward, how that might differ from the previous administration. There is not that time now because the new Liberal leader becomes the prime minister day one. And the likelihood is that we are going to an election not long after that leader is declared, particularly if Jagmeet Singh makes good on his promise to vote the Liberals down at the end of March. So really, you are proposing your ideas now for Canada. Normally, you'd just be looking to appeal to
Right.
the Liberal Party base. That's not really the dynamic this time around.
Yeah, you're right. It's quite a different shift, and who knows what Jagmeet Singh will do. Things tend to change often with that man. We'll pick this up in just a moment.